Mayor Gina Ortiz Jones gave her first State of the City address, and here to break it down for us is San Antonio current writer Michael Karlis. Thank you so much for being here, Michael.
It's great to be back.
What are some of the biggest things that the mayor had to say?
Well, I think her speech was very different than State of the City addresses in the past, in that Mayor Jones was not afraid to be frank, as she likes to say, and really acknowledge the issues that the city is facing, and a big part of that was the budget deficit that City Council is going to have to deal with in the next budget cycle. You know, some of the other issues she mentioned were the city's persistent poverty rate, as well as how the level of educational attainment in the city is actually hurting the city's economic prospects. And I think the best way to summarize this speech is that line in which she said, you know, the state of the city is kind of what we want to make it to be. And do we want to stick with the status quo, or do we want something better? And I think that's a powerful statement for the time that we're living in, with all the changes going on in the country politically and economically.
And you also wrote something mentioning a lukewarm reception. What exactly did you mean by that?
So these speeches in the past have usually kind of been a booster for local business owners, the political establishment, a lot of cheerleading about the city. And as I've said, Jones didn't really take that approach. So I was a bit surprised that while she was speaking, the loudest noise in the room wasn't her voice, but it was the forks clanking against the plates while people were eating. Even to the point where the MC had to come out after her speech and say, you know, let's give her a little bit more of a round of applause. Right. She is a mayor. Which I'm not particularly surprised by, because it was a very different speech. She's a very different leader, right? She's never been involved in local government. She's a political outsider. So I think this is just kind of part of a trend that we keep seeing with the mayor. But however, I think she's gaining a lot of popular support on the ground, even if she isn't getting it at City Hall, which is what I saw at a town hall last week with Terry Castillo, in which she actually got a standing ovation. So I think it's really just a difference between the political class and their views of her versus the people, and in this case specifically on the west side.
And the mayor also mentioned having a recent conversation with Greg Abbott. Tell us about the common ground that these two were able to find. I
thought that was a very interesting remark during her speech. So during her speech, she said that during her first interaction with Greg Abbott, Governor Abbott kind of sat her down and said, y'all need to get your stuff together in San Antonio and start, you know, really trying to attract business or grow your own businesses, which is a fair point by Greg Abbott. I mean, the last 10 years, Dallas has exploded, Houston has exploded. I mean, look at Austin, right? A major tech hub, and San Antonio's just kind of lagged behind.
Very flatlined.
So I think the issue, right, the question we have is, everyone wants economic development in San Antonio. What does that look like, and how do we get there? And I think Mayor Jones has a different opinion of that compared to some of the folks at City Hall.
So how would you possibly think their conversation, you know, the governor and the mayor, impact something such as Project Marvel?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think Governor Abbott, I mean, I haven't asked Governor Abbott what he thinks about it, but I think he would be in favor of it. You know, part of that funding mechanism is actually money from the state being given back to the city to build that arena and some of that surrounding economic development. So I think he's in favor of it, but there has been a lot of moving parts with Project Marvel. You know, I'm sure you saw that Spurs Sports and Entertainment actually owes the city $5 million from a previous soccer stadium project. So I am expecting more developments on that in the coming weeks.
Switching gears now, the mayor also has made elections a priority in the midst of her term, but now she wants to start a new commission to increase awareness. What's the goal of that, and what support does she currently have?
So, right, she wants to start a mayoral commission on elections, which is basically just a think tank that helps the city find ways to encourage voter turnout. So it was kind of a vague idea. She actually unveiled it on the same day that she got censured, which was interesting. So there was a vote a couple weeks ago about whether to move forward with this commission, and City Council said, well, we have a lot of questions, let's kind of kick it down the road. But there does seem to be growing support for the idea. like I said, at that town hall last week alongside Terry Castillo. Castillo actually voted to postpone it, but she said because it doesn't have enough teeth, that's why she decided to put a pause on it. And it seems like the two of them kind of had some mutual understanding about, maybe the commission can come up with ways and to make sure everybody has an ID so that they can cast their vote at the ballot box. So I think there's growing support for it, and that's definitely something we're going to want to keep an eye on.
All right, Michael Karlis, thank you as always for breaking down local politics for myself and our viewers.
Yeah, great being here. Thank you.
I'm Atiana San Miguel. Thank you for watching our story. If you'd like to see more like it, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to watch us weekday mornings at 7 and 11 a.m. on KCWX. Bye. See you on the next one.